Hello, I'm Colleen Holder and this is Let's Talk Tobago. Today we're at Caffe, a bistro and bar in Lowlands located just off the Claude Noel Highway. It offers Italian meals in a cozy atmosphere and you have the option of staying indoors or choosing sidewalk dining. There's also a wide selection of Italian wines and imported beers, but you'll have to stick around to find out more of what's inside. First, let's tell you what's happening in our stories this week. Rewarding entrepreneurship. The BDU publicly recognizes those who took initiative and created opportunities. A treasure hunt that gets Tobagonians familiar with this island, and tips that just might save you from buyer's remorse.
Ensure that you pre-test your appliances at the store before making the final purchase. Look for serial numbers, instructions, care and use of appliance. Ensure that instructions are written in English. Make sure you get all the parts and that they fit perfectly. Look for dents, scratches and other defects, especially on a refrigerator, washing machines and small appliances.
Sit Tobago, ready to provide your community with the highest degree of professional services in emergency response. Contact Sit Mariah at 660-0065 or Sit Speyside at 660-6096. Sit 24-hour services, emergencies, medical or other. Sit Pro, the new face of emergency management.
You're viewing Let's Talk Tobago. Thanks for staying with us here in Lowlands at Caffe Mia. Residents here would remember when this bistro was nothing more than a wholesale spirits and liquor store. That's until 5 years ago when Marcello and Indira Sarias decided to turn it into an Italian restaurant, a transition they haven't regretted. Now this place has been turned into a space pleasing to the eye, but in another part of Lowlands, Hampden to be specific, there are conditions many of us would not live in. Cracked walls, broken tiles and a leaking roof characterize the current state of the official residence of the Chief Secretary. The Occupational Safety and Health Department has declared it structurally unsafe, and the Chief Administrator says there are problems with the sewer. Now, the place was built in the early 1950s and refurbished in 1994 and 2002, but it was originally designed as a single-family dwelling and is now in dire need of repairs. Here's Sophie Guillaume with a look inside the official residence.
Looking at it from the outside, one would not believe the state of disrepair. But this has been a Chief Secretary's reality for close to a decade.
Presently, as we can see, there are a lot of pooling in the yard, and the drainage system is also needing some attention as well.
These and numerous other structural problems have forced the relocation of the official residence to a villa at Tobago Plantations, where he will reside until work here is completed.
The idea is to try to get this place renovated and fixed in a way that it could be occupied and so on within 6 months. So that is the decision that they eventually took. I'm not saying that is the decision that I would have taken, but that is the decision that they took because the condition of this place is pretty bad as such.
Due to the age of the building and uncertainty of the structural stability of the foundation, the upgrades and expansions will be done laterally rather than vertically.
What we are doing is as best as possible to house a Chief Secretary, which is not the best looking place, but we are doing as much as we can to actually give him something a bit more comfortable, or the position, because we're speaking about a Chief Secretary and not necessarily Mr. London.
The residence, which was acquired in the 1950s by the Ministry of Tobago Affairs, has been the official residence for several permanent secretaries, the then Tobago Affairs Minister, Victor E. Bruce, and Assembly Chairman Lennox Denoon. Between 1994 and 2002, some work was done to repair structural damage received from prior earthquakes. The Chief Secretary Orville London took up residency there in 2003. No work has been done since. I'm Sophie Guillaume for Let's Talk Tobago.
Some left their daily jobs and took the risk to venture into the world of entrepreneurship. Others continued family traditions. But regardless of the route they took, they all became owners of their own companies. Their courage has led to job creation across this island, and in the process, they've grown Tobago's economy and contributed to the national GDP. Today, they're being rewarded. They've been given a public thank you from the Business Development Unit, the BDU, in the form of the Tobago Business Awards. Davia Chambers reports.
It was a night of flair, pomp and celebration as this island's entrepreneurs took center stage at the Tobago Business Awards 2013. Dominion Security Services captured the Chief Secretary's Par Excellence Award and the Award for Excellence in Service, while Springtime Foods received the Most Promising Entrepreneur of the Year award. She also won the Best Outstanding Agribusiness Prize. Other awards included the Award for Vision, which went to Orange Advertising, Garment Manufacturing, Cut to Fit. Rosie's Bakery took home the Award for Innovation in Light Manufacturing and Creative Industries. J&J Heritage Woodwork Facility was awarded for manufacturing and woodwork. In the categories of youth entrepreneurship and outstanding contribution in the arts, exquisite local drinks and Shell's Simple Solutions snatched those prizes. But it wasn't only about the big boys in business.
This provided grant funding from a minimum of $5,000 to a maximum of $25,000 to entrepreneurs. This really was to provide a launch pad, a starting point, seed capital for them to start businesses.
Grant recipients were also awarded. There was also a community involvement category, and that went to Hills United Football Club. The awardees and nominees are all reminded to preserve the entrepreneurial spirit on the island.
Because our cultural and natural heritage are both irreplaceable sources of life and inspiration. And I want to emphasize the inspiration part, because this is what stimulates people to be entrepreneurs.
The Tobago Business Awards recognize excellence by entrepreneurs on the island. I'm Davia Chambers for Let's Talk Tobago.
Positive growth in any society partially depends on the contributions made by both males and females. But for some reason, over time, there's been a fallout from our male counterparts. It's manifested in the schools right up to the workforce. But there's one organization keen to change this. It's collaborating with key stakeholders to keep the boys of Tobago on the right path. Omar Mills tells us more.
Third and fourth form boys from 8 of the 9 secondary schools in Tobago came together to participate in a life lessons class hosted by Junior Achievement, a global organization that provides practical mentorship programs for young persons in career preparations, entrepreneurship, and financial literacy.
Don't be afraid of mistakes. If you make a mistake, learn to correct it and use that process to teach yourself.
Comedian and a stakeholder in Gael TV, Errol Fabian, knows about learning from mistakes. His was drug abuse. And now that he's been drug-free for 25 years, he urges the boys to keep themselves from making the same mistake.
Stay very far away from marijuana, because people will tell you it's jar herb. They will tell you it will open your consciousness. They are lies. It snatches your ambition away from you. It reduces your world to a small little square when you abuse marijuana.
Another motivational speaker at the session is David Lammy, a member of the British Parliament and the first black British person to study law at Harvard Law School. He tells the boys that there are 5 key elements they need to know to become successful.
I want to urge you to think about education and the noise, to think about employment and enterprise, to aspire and have ambition, to remember community beyond just peer group, and to focus when the time comes, and not for a while I hope, on parenting and its importance to our community.
The event was facilitated by the Division of Education, Youth Affairs and Sport. I'm Umudara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
It's time to take a break, but coming up, a program that provides Tobagonians with lifelong learning.
Avoid buying toys which comprise of toxic or flammable materials. For infants, toddlers and children who put small objects in their mouths, avoid toys with small parts as they pose a choking hazard.
You're viewing Let's Talk Tobago, and today we're at Caffe Mia in Lowlands. As you can see, Marcello is hard at work preparing one of his Italian specialties, which you can try as Caffe Mia is open from Wednesdays to Saturdays from 5 p.m. And on Sundays from 1 in the afternoon, you're treated to their Sunday roast featuring lamb, pork, chicken or beef. The choice is yours to try with all the trimmings. But do you know some adults may not be able to read their menu or even help their children with homework? And it's not because they're unwilling to, it's simply because they're not literate. The simple definition of literacy is the ability to read and write, and there's an organization right here on this island focusing on doing just that, helping those who can't. They've designed a program specifically for adults, hoping they can help them become more independent.
It may be a child reading her workbook or an adult reading the newspapers or favorite publication. Regardless, this is a basic activity which most adults do without thinking. But for some, this is something they fear and avoid because they are unable to do. To this problem, the Tobago Institute of Literacy says it's never too late to learn to read.
This type of literacy that I'm referring to is comprehension, numeracy, simple thing as numeracy, okay? Vocabulary, spelling, writing. Right? This is the type of literacy we're talking about.
The adult classes consist of students 16 years and over, and the one-on-one sessions are conducted by trained tutors who work at the pace and the time of the students.
Now, we welcome anybody at any level. There are people who can do their basic reading, maybe up to standard 2, standard 3. We are here to fix it, to make you do better, to carry you up a little higher. There are those who don't know their alphabet, period. We are also here to help those.
All who are interested are assessed and then placed in pre-basic, basic or intermediate classes which go for 2 hours twice a week for 1 to 3 years. Mrs. Sandiford says that after the students have completed the program, they are better able to help themselves, their families, and to contribute in a more meaningful way to society.
Well, education is the keystone for progress. And how we at the center view it is that if everybody can hold their end at understanding the written word and speaking the written word, then it means that productivity levels here will skyrocket, which is what you want.
The main office is in Scarborough, but the unit has 10 centers across the island, and they hope to have a literacy center in every community by 2014. The THA sees the importance of their work and has given support to the organization over the years. I'm Umudara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
And as the Tobago Institute of Literacy works on empowering those adults, there's another organization with a similar goal, but their area of expertise is a tad different. They finance your dream home. The Trinidad and Tobago Mortgage Finance Company Limited, or the TTMF, has been in Tobago since 2003. But here's the irony. They found themselves without a home when the NIB Mall was declared structurally unsafe. They moved to a temporary location, but in the end, they knew they had to lead by example and so began the quest for a permanent space, a journey which ended at one historical building on Jerningham Street in Scarborough.
They provide customers with the peace of mind that home ownership brings, and it was only right to practice what they preach and have their own home. The Trinidad and Tobago Mortgage Finance Company is now located at Jerningham Court.
The opportunity presented by the availability of this building made it seem to be our destiny. It is a story, a sequence of events that we often hear from our customers and stand ready to take them through to their own permanency.
Ms. Lashley says it's essential to secure that permanency on the island.
We have seen a steady increase in our portfolio on a year-on-year basis. Over the period, we were able to assist more than 245 customers acquiring property with a value of more than $70 million, and this continues to increase annually. The Tobago House of Assembly, through the Division of Settlements and Labor, has been integral to our success through the expansion of its own housing sector.
The TTMF continues to work with the Assembly to provide affordable housing to Tobagonians. The company currently has about 245 customers with a portfolio of $700 million on this island, and its CEO is promising that this new move also signals even greater involvement.
We are committed to building and maintaining relationships with all stakeholders, the Division of Settlements and Labor, developers, real estate agents, and industry-related professionals to ensure that our mutual customers are afforded every opportunity to achieve their dream.
The Chief Secretary is also hoping that the new move entails the TTMF developing programs that are Tobago-specific. I'm Davia Chambers for Let's Talk Tobago.
We're staying with the empowerment theme a while longer, but this time we're focusing on the elimination of violence against women. This is a global fight, and Tobago is doing what it can to not only help survivors of abuse, but to ensure the public is educated on the issue.
Positive, Colleen Whitlock, and several other local entertainers came out to support the elimination of violence against women at a gospel concert hosted by the Women's Economic and Technological Empowerment Center, WETEC. Nzinga Job says she wanted to lend her support to survivors of violence by using her talent to raise awareness.
I will always try to protect you from the bad company you might want to roll with. Your daddy ain't here, but I am, and I have been with you since you were underneath my breast, and I will die before I let folly put a bullet in your chest.
The United Nations estimates that about 35% of women worldwide have experienced physical and/or sexual abuse from their intimate partners. And gospel singer Donald Job believes that one way of ending this kind of violence is changing the mindset of the men.
Re-education of men itself is very important in this drive of eliminating internationally violence against women. Because let me tell you something, is we men start everything. We are initiators. We are givers. We are movers. You understand? So when we men come into alignment with who we are, first thing, understanding yourself, you understand, everything around you come into alignment because you treat everything as you understand it and not just reacting to things.
Another act, Colleen Whitlock gave this advice in song.
Tell me, what do you give when you've done in your all and it seems like you can make it through? Child, you just stand. When there's nothing left to do, you just stand. Watch the Lord see you through.
The manager of WETEC, Sheila McKenzie, says that there's hope for women experiencing violence.
The aim is to recognize our strength in numbers and unity as we join forces to fight against the scourge in our society called violence against women.
The Walk a Mile in Her Shoes is another activity which WETEC held to raise awareness. The center, which is under the Division of Health and Social Services, organized this event in several communities across the island to get community members involved and sensitized about ending abuse against women. I'm Umidara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
We're taking another break, but coming up, a treasure hunt that gets you familiar with the beauty and charm of Tobago. Welcome back to Let's Talk Tobago. Today we're at Caffe Mia in Lowlands. This bistro may only be 5 years old, but this grapevine has been here for 10 years. The plant was brought in from the UK and produces Chardonnay grapes. The vine produced its biggest harvest this year with about 30 bunches. Not enough to make wine, but it's getting there. Now that's part of what makes Tobago unique, a vine at a bistro. But this island has other great features and historical landmarks. Sadly, though, many Tobagonians just haven't taken the time to even visit or learn about them. But there's a move to change this, starting with a fun activity which got work colleagues, families and friends out of their homes and involved in an interactive educational journey.
These are some of the participants of the island's treasure hunt, a fun activity which gave persons the opportunity to learn more about the island's landmarks. The activity is entitled I Know My Tobago, also gave the groups the opportunity to see sites they may have never been to before.
This event, this treasure hunt, is one of the ways of sensitizing everybody, a wider cross-section of Tobago, that you could be part of tourism, you could know your island, so that anybody could ask you a question and you can answer.
After receiving the package with clues, the participating groups had to work together to figure out which historical locations to go to. Some included the Assembly's Legislative Building and Fort King George, where groups took photos as proof before moving on to the next location. The activity was an all-day event which started off the Division of Tourism and Transportation's Tobago Tourism Week. I am Caroline Wallace for Let's Talk Tobago.
It's that time of the year. In fact, Americans would have got a head start on the rest of the world with Black Friday shopping. Here in the Caribbean, we take it a bit slower. Some would say part of the Christmas experience is ensuring you get some late shopping done. It's not unheard of to see packed malls or long lines on Christmas Eve. But as we get caught up, the Consumer Affairs Division wants to remind us of some useful tips. Here's Davia Chambers.
Christmas, a festive time. A time when we shop until we drop. But as the season approaches quickly, the Consumer Affairs Unit wants to ensure that Tobagonians have a safe and comfortable shopping experience, one without buyer's remorse and defective items.
Make a list of all you plan to purchase. For your grocery, make a list for your grocery. Make a list in terms of what you intend to do for your home, like your furniture, if you're painting and all those stuff, you're changing furniture, make a list. But before you make the list, you should have had a budget.
Now, as you go shopping, Ms. Williams is cautioning shoppers to be aware of something very important.
Because you don't want to purchase items that you're going to have in your cupboards until January, and they would have expired in November or December. So look at your expiry dates, look for your dented tins. All those things you need to be cautious of, because unfortunately there are unscrupulous business persons out there who would now be bringing out these items for sale.
And for purchasing appliances or electronics, ensure that you test them. In addition, there's one key question that should be asked.
Some of the brands of these washing machines, fridge or so forth, the warranty is actually vested with the agents in Trinidad also who supply the retailer in Tobago with the item. So they can't have their local servicemen technicians check the item. They have to have the authorized technicians from the agents also in Trinidad come.
The unit is also reminding consumers to not wait until Christmas Eve to shop for gifts. I'm Davia Chambers for Let's Talk Tobago.
Tobago has proved itself a worthy sports destination. This island hosted the Davis Cup tournament, the International Tennis Federation Juniors, and the WICB's Under-17 Regional Cricket Tournament, not once but twice. This year, the Tobago International Cycling Classic also returned here. Perhaps another sure sign that sport tourism is becoming a reality for this island. And as we hear from Juliet James, there's another big event on the sports calendar.
The Tobago Masters Over 40 Football Invitational is now in its third year and is swiftly gaining a place among the sporting events hosted on the island. 9 teams, 5 from Trinidad and 4 from Tobago, vied for dominance in the Over 40 football arena.
Well, we don't have chances, we just winners. So about chances, we come to win.
Well, of course, we thank God that we won. Of course, the first thing, our objective is to ensure that as Phoenix Masters, the money stays in Tobago.
We might come here and play and looking for goals. We might lose the game, but at the ending of the day, football win.
When the dust finally settled, Juventus of St. Augustine emerged the overall winner for the second consecutive year, with 5 wins and 1 draw, cupping the coveted US $2,000 prize. The captain of Juventus, Courtney Alexander, says that his team also has international experience.
Last year we did a European tour, so we did 8 European countries, including Germany, France, Holland, Belgium, Germany, England, Scotland, Denmark, I think. And next 2015 we embarked on another European tour where we were doing Wales, Scotland, Ireland, Holland again, and England.
Defence Force took second place with US $1,500, while Twin Island FC and 1976 Phoenix share third place for a US $500 voucher to be used at the 2014 edition of the tournament. The organizer of the tournament, Godfrey Edwards, credits good weather and heavy patronage for the success of the Over 40 football tournament, which was held at the Corland Recreational Grounds in Blackrock.
The atmosphere was beautiful, the blue food was amazing, the football was tremendous, and the persons in Tobago, just the camaraderie, the vibe of Tobago was just great. So we are just happy to have a wonderful tournament. In one word, it was really and truly successful. It was successful.
The Over 40 Football Invitational, coupled with Dwight York's promotion of the island's sporting opportunities to universities worldwide, is perhaps a good sign that sport tourism in Tobago is fast becoming a reality. From the Division of Tourism and Transportation, I am Julia James reporting for Let's Talk Tobago.
And it's time to have Your Say, the segment of our program where we hear from you, our viewers. The Food and Agriculture Organization estimates that 1 in 8 people in the world suffers from chronic hunger. The numbers also show that the vast majority of hungry people live in developing countries like Tobago. These statistics are driving programs aimed at providing food security on this island and ensuring affordable sources of food. We've seen initiatives like the night market and the soon-to-be introduced farmers market. So today we're asking, how are these programs helping to keep your food bill down? This is what you said.
Yeah, I had the privilege to attend the farmers market at Roxborough by the St. Grace Stadium, and what I saw, they had a variety of things there, but wasn't a wide variety really. But what I said, the prices were pretty competitive, and yes, it's okay.
You really can't worry about that. You know, you go to spend $100 or $200, that is it. When the money done, it's done.
I would like the night market in the sense that it would reduce the food bill and it will also be convenient to the people. When I say convenient to the people, because when you finish working in the evening, you will have time to go to the market.
And that's how we bring this week's edition of Let's Talk Tobago to a close. Do remember you can send us your comments to information@tha.gov.tt or visit us at www.tha.gov.tt. Like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm Colleen Holder, on behalf of all of us at the Department of Information. Have a safe and enjoyable week. And as we go, we leave you now with some final scenes from Caffe Mia in Lowlands.